Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls,
You're going like
yes,
straight up Obama right now.
yesterday,
What is this?
yesterday, December 18th, 2022, we witnessed greatness.
Mm.
We witnessed the greatest World Cup final that we will ever watch in our lifetimes. And we witnessed the best player of all time solidify his GOAT status. Fellas, let's dissect this game, and I want you guys to all share your thoughts.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, the whole world knows Argentina won, but let's break this game down. Who would like to lead us off here?
I can start us off. I guess I'll start off by saying, welcome to the podcast. Normally we intro with like a hello, but Butch just got on his podium, started to
Got
talk.
excited.
He just got so excited. Okay, so I'll kick it off to start. Man, Argentina looked up for it. I think it was one of the weirder things we saw throughout the tournament of like France just being so flat off the bat. They made two subs in the first 30 minutes of the game, which is pretty unheard of in football in general, much less a World Cup final.
It's embarrassing.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I saw that L'Equipe or whatever, the French publication, didn't even give Dembele or Giroud a rating for the game. They like refused to even give him a rating. But Argentina just looked up to it. We'll get into the drama, obviously, but from the get-go, I admittedly was pretty critical of having Di Maria in the starting lineup, and I ate those words heavily. He played awesome while he was in. He was so dominant, just provided some great sauce from the wing, as well as some really great outlets as well. So Argentina just looked up to it.
I mean, yeah, it was. I agree with the France thing. Like, surprising to see that. I think we all definitely, regardless of what time it was in the match, I thought pulling Giroud was wild. And everyone kind of agreed, and our group chat even was kind of like pointing out every single opportunity that a ball might have been finished by, a starting, tall striker, guy who's a poacher. Those guys take a while to get into games. Strikers don't, you don't need them to be doing the midfield motoring that everyone else is. And I think a winger in that role can get pulled and change things. But you can't expect Giroud to be, making passes from midfield to getting up into the box to scoring. Like,
you can't expect him to be Lionel Messi.
No, he's there for one reason, bro, and it's to get on crosses, be the target man, lay off passes to Mbappe. And I thought that was a really interesting decision. Like who are the replacements? Marcus Thuram and that one kid that I still don't know.
Don't know his name.
Who, came in and was lively, but I wouldn't have called him like a game changer by any means. So I thought those were super interesting decisions. I think I don't give Deschamps any credit for how the game changed. I mean, maybe you want to, look at a halftime team talk, but those direct changes didn't have an impact on the game. I think if anything, pulling
Mbappe and being Mbappe.
Yeah, dude, he put it on his back. Like, that meme where it's like LeBron after scoring 40 points and it's just like no help. That was the only thing I could think about was like Mbappe was, I mean, he's going to be the next best player in the world. And I think that's a pretty acceptable statement. And he showed it against the best player in the world. Like, you score a hat trick in a World Cup final and lost, dog. That's nuts.
Insane.
And a fourth in PKs.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah, I feel like it was
Headwinds.
Sorry, Dobes. I feel like that this was sort of like a passing of the torch, if you will, from Messi to Mbappe in the same way that you kind of just described it. And honestly, I feel bad for people around the world, especially in the States, who maybe this was their first soccer game they've ever watched or one of the first few, because does it get better than that, seeing teams of that caliber play in a game of this caliber? I feel bad for them, but I agree. I think Argentina were the better team for 80 minutes of that game, and And obviously, when you have a player like Kylian Mbappe on your team, magic can happen at any point. But it was pretty cool to see Emi Martinez be the hero again in penalties for the second time in the tournament for Argentina.
I heard someone on the Pat McAfee show who not soccer guys really. They were AJ
Shout out,
Hawk
Pat.
maybe was said. We like Pat. Yeah,
Pat,
good
if you're
guy.
listening, man, if you're listening,
Yeah.
Shout out, Pat.
He
What?
called the World Cup trophy the soccer Lombardi. That shit was hilarious. But it was AJ Hawk or something that said, and professional athlete. He was like, you could feel the tension and pressure and the weight of the moment through the TV. And coming from someone who's not even who you're right, like first game you watch as an American, quit. Don't watch any more soccer.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. It was really the best game ever, but it was palpable, man. We could cut it with a knife. It was everything you want to dream of in a World Cup final. It was awesome.
I think to piggyback off that, within obviously to me, greatest World Cup game I've ever seen, greatest World Cup final of all time. I think what makes it so good though is the ebbs and flows that come within the game. Like for example, the first half. Like there's no doubt that Argentina bossed the entire first 45 minutes. Their midfield three played France's midfield three off the field. But I kept sitting there saying, didn't even to the people at the bar, I was like, as much as I want to sit here and say Mbappe's not in this game, it takes one moment and all of a sudden he lights the game on fire. And you saw that it took him, what was it, 2 goals in 4 minutes, and the second one might be the goal of the tournament. There's just those certain players in the world. There are very few that cannot be in the game for 78, 79 minutes, and all of a sudden that weight on their shoulders, 2 moments of magic, bang, bang, game tied. Argentina fans are fucking silent. It was just literally the ebbs and flows. The ebbs and flows from how dominant Argentina was to all of a sudden getting slapped in the face, all of a sudden going to extra time and finding a way to score again, to another penalty kick that they gave up and they tied it 3-3. I mean, you literally couldn't ask for any more as a soccer fan, as a neutral, as a fan of sports. That game had every single thing you could ask for.
Even some drama and controversy. I mean, we didn't see it until this morning, but on Mbappe's second penalty, the third goal to tie it up, there was a clear handball. Clear handball from France that it didn't even get reviewed. There was no replay of it. And then seeing the footage this morning, we're like, how did everyone in the entire world miss that? For as many cameras and stuff that are on, those players, crazy.
We don't even need to get into the Benzema thing, but I think what's so interesting is you were touching on it earlier. France subbed out Giroud and then proceeded in the second half to whip services into the box with nobody in there to even get close to him. I can't even tell you how many times you saw Argentina's 2 center backs win a header with nobody from France within 5 yards and just clear the ball up, get back up the field. It's almost like what else do you expect Giroud to do in a half where you get bossed? A number 9 is not going to be able to do anything for you.
And I don't think, and from what I know about Marcus Thuram, I love the Bundesliga. I was watching him when he was there. I think he was with Gladbach for a while, but I don't think he's a winger. He's playing on the left wing. They push Kylian Mbappe into the middle, which isn't a problem. But I'm watching Tottenham week in, week out with Richarlison on the right wing. He's not a winger either. Yeah. So they're very, very different players and they bring very different skill sets. And you're right, dude. Giroud, LJ said there were multiple times that guy just would have been in the box and he might have found a free header.
Just one moment is all it takes.
Literally,
we've seen it.
And that's what strikers do.
That's what he did against England. He wasn't really in it and then just scored that one. So it was kind of crazy. Butchie, what were your thoughts, man?
I thought it was a Scaloni masterclass in terms of tactics. I thought it was almost a disaster class from Scaloni in terms of making subs. I genuinely thought that him not subbing was going to lose them the game. Remember Henry, I was looking at you, I'm like, dude, if he doesn't make a sub now, they're done. They're gassed. France scored the second goal. I'm like, you better sub on some legs. And he waited till extra time, but he got lucky with that. But I thought it was a masterclass. That first half, what he did was he overloaded the midfield. And when he did that, he cut every single passing lane to Griezmann and Giroud off. His two best hold-up players, he took them out of the game. So he forced the ball wide. Okay. When he forces the ball wide, Mbappe and Dembele then get pressed immediately. Pressed, forced back, or double teamed, right? How many times did we see Dembele lose the ball? He lost the
I mean,
ball most of the time.
he had a shocker for minute one. No,
He
it
did.
was terrible.
It
He
was
did.
bad.
And you have to credit that, some of that at least, not all of it, but some of it to Argentina's pressing and tactical setup. Like they overloading the center midfield was a genius plan from Scaloni. A lot of people thought he was going to play with 3, and he said, "No, I'm going to go 4-4-2, and I'm just going to freaking overload it." And he did phenomenal.
But what were your thoughts on Scaloni subbing out Di Maria? Because to me, he was the man of the match the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
And when they subbed him out, the game changed 100%.
100%. I think I looked at Henry. I thought with a 2-0 lead, the sub bringing on Acuna, who's a much more solid defensive player, was a smart sub when you're up 2-0. But I agree with you that Di Maria was head and shoulders. He was making those French defenders, world-class players, look like cones, bro.
Yeah.
Cones. Like the goal he scored, or the PK he drew, when he's just carved up Dembele, like a little body feint, fake cross, and he was gone. Like he looked so sharp. And I liked the sub at the time when you have a lead, and then it came back to bite you, right? The minute that second goal went in, you're thinking what I would give to have Di Maria back on the field right now. It takes one moment, one break, right?
Yeah.
Again, I think Scaloni got a little lucky with him not subbing until like extra time, because it could have hurt him. I mean, France had a few chances at the end of the game to win. Like they could have won that game.
Yeah.
That Emmy save.
Save. I mean, things fell into place, rightfully so, and how we all wanted it to. But I thought his setup was really, really well thought out. So credit to him. He's the youngest coach to ever win a World Cup, I believe, is what the stats said. I think he's like 37, 38 years old.
Oh,
so
wow. I didn't even know he was that young.
He's extremely young. Extremely young. So
he looks way older.
Yeah. And then we have Mr. Messi doing Messi things. Like, we didn't really talk about it like in any of our analysis, but I mean, it's just kind of like a given. Mr. Inevitable this tournament, and coming into this tournament, like I think it's even crazy that like, a month ago we were talking about how like Messi just doesn't get it done in the knockout stage, and he scored in every single one of the knockout stage games. He turned up like man of the match performances in every single one of the games. He just put the team on his back, and it's kind of neat, like thinking about the Argentinian team, like as a whole. There's a couple guys that are like older. You have Otamendi and Di Maria, but a lot of those guys are younger, which means they like watched Messi play growing up. And, you have your idol that you can give it all for and like put it all on the line for. And like on the last pod, we talked about like DePaul, we talked about McAllister, we talked about these like fighters that Argentina has, and it's like their entire team just wanted to win it for them. So what a special player, what a special moment. I don't think that potentially in our entire lifetime, I don't know if there's a viewing spectacle that will ever top that one for me than it was on Sunday. It was just really special.
And I think I texted you this, but I don't think I've ever been more nervous in my life for nearly anything than I was nervous going into that game, because I wanted Messi to win that so bad.
Yeah.
Like literally I mean, we kind of all know what he means to the sport, but just as us almost at that age when we're growing up to where he's just bursting on the scene as a young kid, playing with Ronaldinho and everything he's done since, for this to sort of be that pinnacle moment for him to bring it home, it almost seems like it was just written in the stars. Like you couldn't write a script of that type of game, of that type of atmosphere, with him having to score twice, them coming to score again. And just the pictures, like all of our backgrounds of like seeing him hold the trophy. It's literally, it's a tear moment. It's, those
still doesn't feel real.
Yeah, it still doesn't really feel real. It's, we've debated the Ronaldo Messi debate for so long. We don't even get into it so much, but this was the one thing that even Maradona always held over him, that, forever, even the people of Argentina said he had to do this to eclipse Maradona. And so just the pressure I can't even imagine the pressure that he has to have felt to get this done. And then not only to have that pressure, but to exceed all expectations that I would have for him just shows why he's just the best to ever do it.
He's got to wake up this morning feeling the lightest he has ever felt in his life. Like, I could also I mean, who knows what like the second half of the season is going to entail for like anyone. I could see him just like dicking around for PSG the second half of the season and just scoring like worldies that like he should never attempt, but he's like, whatever, I've already won football. Like,
Feeling it.
it's fine.
Yep.
But
Ballon d'Or number 8
Awards,
incoming.
like,
He's got a shot at the Ballon d'Or. He really does. Like he's
does,
in that
100%.
conversation now, 1000%.
Yeah, if he can finish the second half of the season strong, he is the front runner for the Ballon d'Or. Like, yeah, clearly.
I think, and I said it to you guys too. It was like every one of those pictures, like every one of those scenes after the game, like it felt like, you know, we didn't watch Maradona, we didn't watch Pele. It felt like watching those guys, like seeing him on the shoulders of everyone, and you know, just the comparisons of him and the pictures we've seen of those guys. It was like I had a really, you know, I knew in the moment like this is an unbelievable piece of history. Like we're watching maybe the best to ever do it, you know, win the world, you know, win the one thing that everyone, whoever plays the sport wants to win. And just
in the best ever game.
In the best ever game. And him with the trophy was, yeah, dude, it was emotional. Like it was like, I'm never going to see this again in my lifetime. I had a good reality check of it. And a lot of times, you know, it's like, how do you know you're living in the good old days before they or pass you or whatever that is.
That's Andy Bernard.
Yeah.
It was just surreal, man. It was awesome. And we all hit a bet. We all hit a fat bet. We all hit a fat
awesome.
bet.
Awesome.
Come on, man.
So good.
Come on.
Yeah. And shout out to Fox for trying to make us watch the Cowboys versus, you know, Jaguars instead of watching Messi win the tournament or the trophy. Shout out.
I know we were freaking out and
losing my mind, man. I was like, are you kidding me?
I know we talked about it, but
wait.
The Drake betting curse too is as soon as that tweet went out that
did you see that
Argentina.
He may not have even broken the curse? I think he bet like the 90-minute money line.
Fine. I don't care. As long as it didn't ruin it.
Yeah. I was like, this is hilarious.
I never would have listened to a Drake song again if they would have 100%.
Yeah.
Although I wouldn't change anything about the game or the outcome. I think that, you know, Bucci and Hen, we were together at Arges with Nick, and you know, right at half, Nick had said, "Man, it'd be awesome if France could score a goal here and really make things interesting." And we're like, "Dude, shut the hell up! Like,
dude,
let's just ride out this next 45, maybe score one more, you know, for Argentina, and just a pad the stats a little bit." And
yeah,
and then naturally they scored 2 then, and I just look at Nick and I was like, what are you doing? Like, if this happens, this is on you. And
yeah, dude.
Oh my gosh. Hen and I were wearing our Messi jerseys, and I think I sweat completely through it on all sides, just sitting there watching, you know, extra time. And,
the 7 a.m. math in my Messi jersey, not like you can hide it, like the bright blue Messi jersey. It definitely caught some looks at the
Catholic mass in Florida. It was funny, like to your point, Dubs. Like, I mean, like we watch soccer every single day of our lives. Like we watch all the Prem games, all the stuff, and like we're all like pretty diehard for our clubs. And like I was explaining that like I'm a diehard United fan. Like I will watch preseason games at 3 a.m. I'll do whatever it takes. I'm a diehard. Never in my entire life have I ever felt like, you know, that
never
nervous.
Once.
Yeah, never once. I've been that mad for sure. You know, like United has made me cry some tears for sure. But I've never been that nervous. And I think it just, to your point, Dubs, I think it just goes to show like how important he is to all of us in our lives. And what a special player. What a special player.
Oh, absolutely. The GOAT, man. All right. We're going to transition now, Mecca fans. We're going to transition into all of us giving our starting 11 of the tournament. A month's worth of World Cup action, and we've all got our picks. And You guys want me to lead this off? What do you guys want?
Do it. Yeah. I think that we're going to be naming 55 players here, so we don't need, anything too crazy in depth on why you picked them. But,
Yeah, no. I say we just keep it simple and sweet,
yeah.
right?
And I have a feeling we're all going to have a lot of the same players as well. So,
all right. My goalkeeper, I did have Martinez, Emmy. He was my Golden Glove pick. Right back, Hakimi. Center backs, Otamendi, and I had Vardiol from Croatia. My left back was Teo. My two center mids, I had Modric and Amrabat.
Ooh.
I had Griezmann in front of them. And then Messi, Giroud, Mbappe are my front three.
Interesting.
It is interesting.
I got some differences.
I was gonna say, I think the one. What's the? I'm not gonna be able to pronounce. Anybody know how to pronounce the Morocco the goalie's name?
Bunu.
Oh, no.
Ivankovic.
I think he might be my. I mean, Emmy with the moments for the Pens, but I think just in terms of them only giving up X amount of goals and making it that far, and I think he was arguably at times their best player. I think he's got to be the goalie for me. That might be one of my few differences.
Oh, no, right? You were talking?
What you say?
Bonu, or however you say his name.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Bunu.
don't know how to say it.
Bunu.
Bunu, however you say it correctly. My left back, I think it has to be Hernandez.
Uh-huh.
Center back, Garbadal from Croatia has to be my one for sure.
This was
I
a hard one for
honestly,
me too.
you guys may think this is crazy. I'm gonna go Romero. I think
Interesting,
Romero.
bro.
I agree.
I'm gonna go Romero. I mean, who you can gas him up a little bit if you want, but I think like obviously I love Liche, but Romero was the reason that he wasn't playing, and like Liche oftentimes could be at least one of the best defenders in the Prem, and Romero was keeping him out of the team. Like I think that's just all you need to say for how good of a tournament he had.
My point on Romero too, and I didn't even have him in mind, because I kind of tried to look at, I guess maybe the whole body of work. I think I would have maybe had Upamecano, who just in terms of quality,
That's fair.
top to bottom, guy was stopping shots. He probably wasn't even the highest rated defender on his own team, I think sometimes, but he was so consistent. But the way that Romero like bounced back from that Saudi Arabia game where he looked miserable, like he was getting sent which way and left. The way he bounced back was awesome, and I've beaten his drum for a really long time. I tell you guys all the time, I think he's one of the best defenders in the Prem, and I think a lot of times he doesn't show it. His comeback through the tournament was insane, and he's just the most vicious defender that I've seen in a long time. Like the guy loves a tackle, and he's good at it. He makes, he'll get the yellow cards. He'll make silly mistakes. But I think after the second game when he didn't start, he was the total defender you want on that Argentinian team. And Otamendi to be the level-headed of the two is an insane statement. But he was like, he very much so held down home base. He's not running as much as he used to. And Romero was the first one to step out of the back and find that tackle. But yeah, go ahead, Tubbs. That was a good shot.
So I got those two are my center backs, or my two wing backs. Center midfielders, I think you have to go Amrabat from Morocco. I think he just had an absolutely fantastic tournament. The other center midfield is hard. I almost kind of want to put Jude in there. I'm between like putting another center defensive mid like Jude, or like putting, for me it's like I would Griezmann or Bruno, or like those two could either. Griezmann was so important to France. Bruno's so important to Portugal. So you can kind of flip those. And then my front three, I think, is pretty easy. Mbappe, Messi, and Giroud. I think they were three of the two best strikers all tournament. I mean, there's obviously some honorable mentions we can get to later, but I think you can't go wrong with Mbappe, Leo, and Giroud in my front three.
Yeah, interesting. I have like kind of a different shout on a couple of positions here. So I have Bonu as well as my goalkeeper. Hakimi and Theo Hernandez are just locked in for me. My center backs, I had Gvardiol and Roman Saiss from Monaco.
That's a shout.
from Morocco, sorry.
Boys.
He was nails throughout the tournament. And like I think he was the heartbeat of that Morocco team. And when he came out on the last game, like you could tell like kind of a noticeable difference in how important he was. I really like the Otamendi shout. I'm not mad at the Romero shout, but I think Otamendi, like again, whole body of work. You look at the whole tournament, but for me, it was Gavardiol and Seiss were my center backs. The center midfielders, I have Enzo Fernandez in there, young player of the tournament. He was a standout player for Argentina, the winners of the tournament. Enzo Fernandez is like locked in for me. I think that he was just unreal. I have Griezmann in there as a lock in the center midfield position. And then my last one is kind of a toss up for me as well. I have Bruno as one of the positions, and then I also want to throw Bellingham in there. So one of those two, I can't really decide. I'm tempted to go Enzo, Griezmann, and Bruno.
I'll put Enzo over Jude. I think I that's a shout. I'm with Enzo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Enzo was
that's a shout.
nuts. He was
Yeah,
nuts all tournament.
that's a shout.
And then I'm gonna get spicy for a second. I have Messi. I have Messi. On the left, I have Mbappe, and then down the middle, I have Julian Alvarez. I think that kid came
That's a
alive
shout.
in the
That's a shout.
knockouts. So, like, the difference for me is that Giroud scored goals like in the group stage, and then he scored against England, which is fine. You know, you can only score against the teams you're playing. But for me, Julian Alvarez just came alive throughout the length of the tournament, and Argentina isn't where they are right now without him. And I think that for me, Julian Alvarez down the middle gets into the 11. And I'll throw Giroud in an honorable mention for sure. But for me, it's Julian Alvarez.
Your point about Julian Alvarez, and I think you guys all mentioned it and saw it happen too. The intangibles he brought to the game when he wasn't on the ball was insane. The guy was absolutely everywhere, and he was closing people down. He was closing down defenders. He was left wing, right wing. I think I would go with him too over Drew, just because he scored some crucial goals for sure, but he was another really good player when he didn't score. Like he was providing so much defensively that you don't expect out of a 9. I'm good with that. I'm good with that 100%.
Yeah.
I'll chip in, and I don't have a ton different, but I definitely want to just throw some out to spark some conversation. One of the guys that we probably didn't talk about a ton, but everyone else kind of seemed to, and thinking back about it, Juranovic on the right, the kid from Croatia, plays for Celtic right now. I vividly remember seeing Fabrizio tweet about him early in the tournament, like, hey, this kid's had a couple good games, one to watch out for. And then he kept having good games. I, again, don't think I would pick him actually, but I think a lot of people have enough to spark that. Through the center, I'm good with Guardiola. I've beaten that drum all World Cup. The guy's been unbelievable. And I'm going to stick with Upamecano. And, again, I think he might not have even been the best defender on his own team every game, but I do think total body of work. Him and Varane were good.
So well, yeah.
They complement each other so well. Not mad about that. I like Teo Hernandez on the left, and what a cool story for it's a bummer that his brother tore his ACL in the first 20 minutes of the first game, but with big opportunity comes big expectations, and the guy we talked about him. He was a good player. We all knew he was a good player. He shined for sure. And the freedom he had on that side with Mbappe was, maybe not what typical left backs get, but I do think he gets that at AC Milan too, which is kind of why he's a standout player there. But I think you're all absolutely fucking asinine for not mentioning Luka Modric through the middle, because that Croatian team quite literally doesn't do anything without him. I agree with Enzo. You did. With Enzo, great player and a young player of the tournament, and I think that's a great shout too. I do think in terms of who was going to step into the roles on their respective teams, and there was not one person behind Modric who's going to be able to keep that kind of production.
I'm with that Modric shot 100%. I don't know who I put him in over. I probably put him in. I don't want to do this, but I probably put him in over Bruno. I'd probably go Griezmann. I'd probably go Griezmann and
and I still have Bruno,
Modric.
man. I think it's him, Bruno, and Griezmann. Griezmann was undeniably one of the best midfielders in the tournament. And I think same thing with Portugal. They've got some really talented center midfielders too, but that team doesn't do as much without him. That team doesn't get nearly as far. They don't have the goals and the production that they had. So you can clip this for later because I kind of hate watching him play against Tottenham, but solid player. It's hard to deny. I think he's a rat sometimes, but good. He's got a feel good story. Valid. Blah 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 blah. He's a good person. Whatever. Cry me a river. So, and then
you didn't sound like that pained you at all to say.
Yeah.
You got through that well.
We're accepting applications for the United fan base, so whenever you want to come over.
Yeah, we're I'm gonna take where I'm at right now. But so what is that? 4, 7. I'm good with Bono. I think too, like someone mentioned that overall he was just called upon more, right? Like Emi Martinez is amazing, deserved the Golden Glove. Morocco doesn't get nearly as far without that guy. He was just a shot-stopping animal, making just ridiculous reflex saves. I'm happy with that. And then I'm gonna reiterate top 3. It's like Messi, Mbappe, and I'm good with Julian Alvarez. I think if Richarlison gets farther, there's a shout there, but at the end of the day, they got shut out by Croatia. He had no productivity. And you're not going to be my striker of the tournament if you didn't get as far as either Giroud or Alvarez did. So good with those. Yeah.
Word.
Awesome. I'll round it out. I had Levankovic in goal as well. Absolute brick wall. Backline, Theo Hernandez, Gvardiol, Hakimi, and I had Romero as well, like you did, Dobes. And I think that, not to touch on him too much more, I know who went on his rant, but seeing him as such a complimentary player to Otamendi, it was between those two for me in that second spot. And I think you can make a lot of arguments for a lot of other players, but just seeing him flying into tackles the way that he did, and even putting a body up to his teammate Hugo in the match as well. Just the drive, and it was super cool to watch. Midfield, man, you could pick from a lot of 6 and pretty much get it right. I think that it's going to be super tough, and it was for me, but I had Griezmann. Just in terms of importance to their team, I had Griezmann, Amrabat, and Luka Modric in the middle. If you just look at how important they were to their teams and what their teams would have done had they not been there, I think that you have to pick them, and then Mbappe, Messi, and Julian Alvarez up top. So kind of like what I said before we started, we all had a pretty similar take across the board, but I think in most positions it was pretty clear who the best of the tournament was, and you can't argue having Croatians, Moroccans, Argentinians, and Frenchmen.
What? No Harry Maguire? No love for the boy?
I know we were talking about that before.
English
I could
Maldini?
have thrown Saka in there too. No, but
Bro, Maguire was literally, I think it was Sky. Sky released their team of the tournament, and Maguire was literally in their team of the tournament.
I believe it. I was seeing it over Twitter. I saw John Stones a lot in there too.
Well, that's the thing is you can't say that Maguire was any better than Stones.
Yeah, you especially can't say Maguire was better than any of the other center backs we mentioned earlier.
You're equipped, dude. Those French fools really take their football publication seriously. And if a French national sports media company is putting Harry Maguire in as their center back too, like that's insane to me. That's insane. That says, I mean, the guy played well. It's hard to deny that, but England are I don't know, soft.
Yeah, I mean,
whatever.
and you know, Harry is going to be like our starting center back. What Wednesday and this weekend probably because Varane and Leach are not going to be back
Martinez will just be drunk for a week straight.
for a week. But so I mean, with this, we have a couple positions that are nailed on, but we got to come down to a final 11 here. So the nails that I have listed out, we have Hernandez on the left, we have Hakimi on the right, Gvardiol as one of the center backs. We have Messi and Mbappe. And I think Julian Alvarez was a shout. So I had him. Who've had him?
I'll put Alvarez. I'll be third. I'll put him over Giroud. I think that's fair. What do you finish with? Four goals
too, correct?
You had 4. So that's what I was going to say. Griezmann, I think, is our last one. So we have to decide a second center back and then a midfield 3. But I think Griezmann was on all of our lists as like a lock. Okay,
yeah, he can be.
I'm
He's
comfortable with that. Yeah.
Okay. So we need 2 center midfielders and a center back.
I mean, Luka, Modric has to be one. I mean,
Can be.
He's not. There's. I mean, in terms of and look, at some point you're looking at apples and oranges with some of these center midfielders and how they play. Like Arambot was awesome. He's not catching headlines the way Modric is because Modric plays more of an 8 higher up, obviously. And those are I have a hard time not keeping Modric in this.
Is that the Spurs and you talking?
Maybe a little, yeah.
I was gonna say you can say yes.
Yeah.
Maybe a little.
Didn't you just buy a Modric jersey?
Mm-hmm. I did. Yeah, I did. Mm-hmm. It was a pretty slick little 2011, but I think he was more important than Bruno on Portugal. I think he was more important than Arambot on Morocco. I do think both deserve the shout because of how they did play and the production and positivity they had on the field. But again, Modric, I don't think Croatia gets anywhere without that guy. And Perisic was great, and Orsic is a solid player on the wing, and they had some really, really solid team play.
Yeah.
I have a hard time not putting him in there, frankly. He was just too much of an engine.
He's in there for me too.
So Griezmann and Luka Modric.
I'm fine with it too. I think you nailed it on of like he's too important to Croatia's run. And he's also like, let's just call it out, 37, bro. Like, not a kid in his prime, not a young gun, 37 years old doing that it was cool to watch. I'm cool with Modric being in there too.
So who's our 6?
For me, it's Enzo. For me, it's Enzo.
Who's our 6, boys?
Butchie, what are your thoughts, man?
Amrabat.
Say more.
Give me your Amrabat over Enzo.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah. Give your teacher pitch.
Well, Enzo's great. Good young player, young, dynamic, can score. Amrabat, for me, he did the dirty work at such a high level with such a hard path to getting to the semifinals. Like, this dude had to play Belgium. He had to play Croatia. He had to play Spain. He had to play Portugal. And he was their standout guy every game. Like, yes, Argentina had to play the Dutch and they had to play Croatia. But, like, the path Morocco had, like, no, it was impossible. The odds they were impossible. And they overcame the odds. Amrabat was the guy. He did the dirty work. He's really good in possession, really calm on the ball. His tackles were phenomenal. He gets the tip for me.
I think
let me put devil's advocate, Butch. Do you think Argentina wins without Enzo?
Probably.
You think if Paredes was holding it down, kid gets a red card by the second game.
Okay,
didn't the game that I bet on that to happen?
Not in the team. Morocco doesn't make it out of the group stage.
True, but the
And
question
they're
of Enzo having the importance of that is still undeniable.
I understand, but like I don't think as a group we're understanding the true importance of a Cinderella story here. Like Morocco was not anywhere near a top ranked team in the world.
Yeah.
Argentina was a top 5 team in the world.
I'm
This
with
man
Butch.
took them to the semifinals of the World Cup, dude.
I'm with Butch. I think if the United States gets to where Morocco got, then we're talking about Tyler Adams being one of the best midfielders in the tournament. And I think it's the
That's fair.
exact same scenario because nobody else on that Moroccan team's coming in and replacing that. And I think the drop off from Enzo to Paredes was noticeable, or even any of those other guys they put in there. But they weren't. They were losing their best player if he wasn't on the field. So I'm with Butch.
I'm with that. Yeah, I'm with that. I think it's definitely interesting just in terms of like I think Enzo was the perfect player for that type of game. Like with the people that he had around him against France, he's that perfect type of player that they needed. It's a little bit everywhere, but I do agree with Butch that if they don't have him, they're definitely not in the World Cup semifinals. Like there's no shot that they make it that far. Winks,
No, I'm in there. I had him in there too in my original starting 11, so I think it's more about convincing Hen here than
Hey, it doesn't
any
need
of
to be
us.
unanimous here. It doesn't need to be unanimous here. I mean, yeah, like I'll concede to the group for sure, but I think when I'm looking at like standout and going the distance, I do agree with you. The Cinderella story being unreal to watch. I don't know. I just look at Enzo as like a 21-year-old starting in that final, being like a pivotal player throughout the entire tournament. Like,
With that
I was
being
just
said,
don't pretend like you don't want him to sign for Man United. So you're leaning a
bro, I
little
want
bit
him. I'm
towards it.
gonna die if he goes to Liverpool. I'm just gonna die.
with
I
that
feel like
being said,
everyone
Hen,
else.
I
You
know
got
you
it.
talked about Julian Alvarez up top, and his importance to the Argentinian team, but we could always go 4-4-2 here and bring
Ooh.
Enzo in there and narrow down our front three from Messi, Mbappe, and
I'm cool with dropping Mbappe. I'm fine with that. I'm cool with it. Nah. 4-1. We'll go Amrabat as our third midfielder, which means we just have our last center back.
This is the hardest one, bro, because
I
it's
know.
intangible, right? You
I'm
got
I'm
no
gonna be a lot
stats.
more I'm gonna be a lot more open minded with this position than I was with the Amrabat Enzo conversation. But I would agree with. I know that Dubs and I had Romero in there, and we made our argument. And we saw how far Argentina went, obviously in the tournament. But I'm perfectly comfortable with taking Saiz, with taking Otamendi.
I
Just
just
not
I
I'm
feel like
easy
Maguire.
with
this one
Romero.
you easily could
It's
be
a
a
toss
bunch
up.
of different. Yeah,
Tough
like
to
there's
decide.
not a
Romero.
I'll start it off. I'm going Otamendi, and
Changing. Okay.
yeah, if we're going Amrabat in the middle, then I'm going Otamendi and taking out Saiz. Otamendi, who you said it. If you were to tell me before the tournament that Otamendi was going to be the calmer of the two center backs, like that's
yeah,
bonkers,
and not be sent off.
bro. I mean,
Yeah.
unreal. But as a center back, watching him in game management in some of these games and like closing out specific moments, and granted, like gave up 2 goals against the Dutch in like the final couple of minutes, like gave up 2 goals really quickly to France. But like when I watched Otamendi have like a complete performance, again, body of work from start to finish, I was super impressed with him. And this is coming from someone that like doesn't rate Otamendi at all. Like before the tournament, I wanted Romero and Licha to play together. Like that was the center back pairing that I wanted. And Otamendi for me, like, is not it. I was so impressed with him throughout the tournament. For me, he's over Romero from a consistency standpoint. And yeah, that's where I am. Otamendi's my shout.
I think it's a super interesting conversation because I think we all would have been like, I think Licha and Romero would have complemented each other in a similar way, except I do think Licha's again, it comes back to when did Otamendi decide that he was going to be the level head? Because I think Licha does the same thing. Licha's a savage. Like,
Yeah.
they call him the fucking butcher. That's a sick nickname. I can't deny that. That's incredible. So I think for us to even have him in this conversation is insane. Yeah, I guess. I think I have a hard time saying Roman Saiz mostly because I would honestly tell you that I didn't like watch a ton of Morocco games and be like, damn, Saiz just keeps killing these guys. And I'm sure a lot of people did.
Wasn't a standout. Yeah, I mean,
He got hurt, didn't play in the last game that he got hurt halfway through the quarterfinal. That's a tough representation, and the people who have maybe watched more and saw what I didn't see that's a super valid point. But it's got to be one of those Argentinian guys to me. Just like we're talking about an Argentinian team 4 years ago that didn't have a back line, at all.
Mascherano.
Yeah. At all. They didn't have anything. And
Marcus Rojo started 4 years ago for what it's worth and scored a goal. Marcus Rojo.
He did.
Yeah.
Oh,
I haven't heard that name in
years. I forgot about him.
Breaking legs.
I'm vouching for one of the Argentinians. If I go, I'm saying Christian Romero because bias, and he was incredible. So,
but certainly that first thing.
Bucci Main?
I'm going Otamendi, bro. He played.
I think Hoove is the determining factor here. Winks, are you thinking Romero?
I'm okay with Otamendi. Like I said before we picked for this position, this was a lot more of a toss up for this one. So I think that Romero and Otamendi were both incredible in their own right and complete body of work, but I'm truthfully okay with either. So
the only thing that I'm gonna let you guys get away with here is Romero can't play the way that he plays if Otamendi is not playing the way that he plays.
Facts.
That's
Gives
the
him more
only
freedom.
thing. Romero was a better defender in terms of tackles, in terms of pressure, in terms of clearances, in terms of I think he was just that guy on defense. I do think Otamendi gave him that freedom and kind of let him be that guy. And I don't think Licha does if they were to be paired next to each other as much, at least.
They're too similar.
Yeah,
they're two similar type players.
One of them's 5'5" and the other's a massive giant. So, there's something to be said about that too. But I'm gonna concede on Romero only because he doesn't get to do what he does if Otamendi's not there. I can acknowledge the game and acknowledge the matches and how they flow.
So I guess I have to concede. Never in a million years that I think I'd be sticking up for a Spurs player.
No, I love it. And this Arsenal kid over here said it before I did. Amazing. You can clip all of
it. But for what it's worth, this tournament he's Argentinian. He's not.
You're right.
True.
And he's gonna go back to Spurs and be paired up next to Eric fucking Dyer, and we're not gonna see the same player.
I'm with Otamendi. I can get behind it. I got no arguments there.
If Romero had a guy more like that at Spurs, we see more of that defensive animal than we do the liability that he sometimes is. So
one of my favorite things about the World Cup coming to an end, I know that there's not a lot, but one of my favorite things is the immediate excuses that come from Hoover when talking about Spurs, the immediate excuses right away. Only if they had a center back.
I beg for it. You kidding me? Yeah, I beg for it, bro. You're picking between Eric Dyer and Davinson Sanchez. I want to cut my eyes out, bro. It's a heinous crime that I have to decide between those two dudes because they both show up and do the same stupid shit. It's unbelievable.
Oh, that's funny.
So we have our 11. We have Banu, we have Hakimi, Otamendi, Gvardiol, Hernandez, Amrabat, Modric, Griezmann, Mbappe, Alvarez, Messi.
With it.
I'm with it. That team's
Beautiful.
unbeatable.
Beautiful. Bunch of dogs.
I'm with it.
All right. To cap it off here, we got just a very quick factor cap. You guys can maybe leave your or give me your explanation like 30 seconds or less if that's
Sure.
cool. We just finished a month of World Cup and
I get so excited for these.
Me too.
I don't know why. I get so
They're
excited.
so fun, bro.
Dude, I love them, bro. So we just finished a month of the World Cup and we have a very well-rested Erling Haaland waiting at City.
Oof.
Oh, here we go.
He has 18 goals in 13 appearances in the Premier League. So my question is this. This has never been done before in the history of the sport. Does Erling Haaland score 40 goals in the Premier League in one season? Factor
Are you
cap.
talking about this year or ever?
This nobody has ever scored 40 goals in a Premier League season. The record is 32 and it's Mo Salah.
Who?
Mo
Who's that?
Salah.
Who? Sorry. Don't
Mo
know if I
Salah.
know him.
Does Erling
What team
Haaland
did he play for in the World Cup?
Yeah.
Messi.
Haaland has 18 goals in 13 games. They've only played 14, so they have 24 games left. Does he score 40?
Cap.
This is hard,
Cap.
bro.
I'm going cap. I think he gets to. He may get to 30 plus, but I just think that 40 is a. I mean, again, don't put it past him. At 40 is a shit ton of goals. I don't think he gets there. I mean,
I think
30 is incredible. Beating Salah is incredible. I don't think he's got enough games to get to 40.
I think mine is purely on the fact that I don't think he's played a full season in his career yet, and he's
That's a great shout.
The
Yeah,
guy
there you
gets
go.
injured. We're 1, 2, 3, 4 week injury away from the kid not bagging and then getting maybe replaced by Julian Alvarez. There's no other team in the world where Erling Haaland scores that many goals, gets injured, and doesn't come back and start immediately. But we're talking about one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This kid is disgusting. They've got two insane strikers. So I'm going cap solely because it would require him to play all those games. That's how I feel.
It's a great shout.
Dobes, you said that he'd have 24 games left.
Mm-hmm.
For the sake of being different, I'm going to say fact. I think that I was just looking at their schedule and, you know,
That's what I'm doing too.
He's going to get to play against Everton, Wolves, Spurs.
He's got to play everybody again, basically.
Yeah. Just messing with you, but no, the crazy.
But you're so slow, bro.
Historically,
the joke is so far
you can't do it.
And then he's just
gone.
The thing I want to remind you guys about though is like he doesn't need to play all of the games to hit 40 goals. He can score 3 or 4 goals, you know, in 5 of the next 24 games.
Mm-hmm.
Still get there.
So like I don't want us to assume he's gonna, you know, only be scoring 1 a game for the next 24 games and that he needs to be there. Like we've seen all that he needs is to stick his lengthy ass leg out there, you know, on a ball getting tossed across a 6 and like he can get 2 of those a game. I don't think that 40 is that much of a stretch. I think that with the pace that he is on the first half of the season so far, at least close to the first half of the season, like I think it's super attainable. So I'm going to say fact.
It's a good argument.
I want to go fact too.
Just for the pure spectacle of it, like
yeah.
We need to figure out if there's odds to where you can bet that to see if he gets to 40
We can look it up.
It's probably just top goal scorer.
Yeah.
And that's
the thing is that's hard to your point. Winks is their schedule. Like looking at it, their first game's back. We have Leeds, Everton, Chelsea, United, Tottenham. That's like it's not exactly the easiest. They played Tottenham twice in 2 weeks. Did you know that? Who? The 19th and the 5th.
Have Spurs not played them yet this year?
Guess not. They might have had like
either.
cancellation. I don't know. Anyway, like I think that the run of games is going to be difficult, but Winks, to your point exactly, he does not have to score multiple goals in every game to do it. He can score like a couple in a couple of games and make it happen. I just think also like just to keep it a buck, I think that he's going to be pissed that people are like, it's not even a comparison anymore between like Mbappe and Haaland. Like Mbappe's clear, like all this stuff. I think he's going to come back and fucking kill it. I'm going to go fact. I think he finishes with 41. Clip it.
I think Winks. I think the thing you're not thinking about is I think if he scores 40 goals, I think we're talking about a City team that wins the title.
I mean,
think that those definitely.
I know that we haven't
correlate
gotten
with each
to
other.
really talk about back to the Prem, but
We're talking about a City team that's winning the title regardless, boys. I don't give a shit. what
Yeah,
anyone
Arsenal's
does.
not
You
doing
can
it.
Just
I
No
never.
shot.
You can
that.
check the
We are
receipts. I never said that I thought we were going to
We are-
win.
I love it. You're
Without a lot.
backing
I
down
thought that-
immediately.
No, I'm
He
just
did.
saying, like, I think
We
we're going
are-
to be
we-
contenders for sure, and I think that Gabby Jesus, his
We are
injury,
chomping at the bit for Prem banter. We're
Yeah,
chomping
dude.
at the bit, right?
We're just teasing it.
we're not going anywhere, but I think that I think we all knew that was going to be coming at some point, but
Yep.
You know, we'll see what happens in January in the transfer window, and you know how long Gabby Jesus ends up being sidelined for.
Yeah. 3
Makes
months,
sense.
is it?
I feel bad for the guy.
3 months and then
And
like recovery if it's
Just-
not immediate, but nuts.
Just all I want for Christmas is another Arsenal New Year collapse. That's all I want.
It'd
That's
be
all
awesome.
I want for Christmas. The
It'd be
drama.
so
What did Arson say, or no, what's his name? I don't even fucking know that guy's name. Starts with an A, Arteta. What did he say in that All or Nothing documentary at the very end? He's like, you never know in football, they could lose to Norwich.
Butchie, what are your thoughts on the
Butch
40
is like,
goals?
"Ah!"
I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. I'm gonna say fact. I think Holland's a freaking extraterrestrial, bro. Like
Oof.
he's an extraterrestrial, dude.
Is it
I hate how much I
Targaryen?
like him.
He's an alien.
I hate.
No.
I love the guy. I love him. That clip that City put out on their socials of him just alone in training
Genius.
was hysterical. He's funny. That was a great media team play. They were probably like, dude, we've got all the time in the world. You want to shoot something goofy? And he's probably like, yeah, sounds good. Like that was such a great PR move
It
for
was awesome.
everybody.
Yeah,
It was
that was awesome. That was
Yeah.
awesome.
great.
As long as it wasn't another Samsung commercial. Do you guys remember when we were sending that around? He looked like the ugliest dude I've ever seen with that Samsung phone next to him. Like,
Oh, man.
The glow up is real.
Yeah, dude. It's that oil money,
True.
and now he's going to score 41 goals.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Mecca squad, Dobes, Hoove, Hen, Winks, and myself, Bucci Mane, we thank you for tuning in to tonight's episode. As always, follow us on the social medias at Mecca Banner, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. We'll see you in the next episode. Peace and love, man.
Peace and love.
Good time, lads. Yeah.
Cheers.